In this unit, I want to show you how to get your employer identification number. I'm going to show you how to register your new business with the Alabama Secretary of State's office. And then I'm going to show you how to easily obtain your Alabama sales tax number. And first of all, I'm going to make a very bold prediction. I predict when you get your dealer's license that your income is going to rise dramatically. This tends to be a very high profit business. When you see what vehicles are selling for at a dealer auction and what they're selling for on your lot a week later, I think you're going to wish you had obtained a dealer's license many, many years ago. So, to show the state that you are in fact going to pay profits on your newfound income, the state's going to require most dealers obtain what's called an employer identification number. And this is a number that's going to be used by the IRS to identify your dealership. And it does show the state of Alabama that you will in fact pay taxes on your newfound income. Now, this is not going to be required for sole proprietors unless you're a sole proprietor that actually has employees. I want you to be aware there are companies that will charge you $500 to $600 or more to apply for your employer identification number for you, but I'm going to show you how you can do it for free. So before I show you how to do this, you can actually contact the IRS directly at any time, 800-829-4933, and they will have staff that answers your questions. So let's go ahead and jump right onto the IRS website. We're going to go to irs.gov. And what we're going to do there, we're going to scroll down to where it says apply for employer identification number. And sometimes this is referred to as a federal tax ID number or just an FEIN. So we're going to click on apply for employer identification number. And there you're going to kind of review what we're getting ready to do here. So it kind of gives you an overview of what an employer identification number is for. So you're going to go ahead and click on begin application. And for this training scenario, once again, I want to show you how to do this as a limited liability company. That's an LLC. Now, you may be a sole proprietor or a partnership or corporation, and I'm strongly going to encourage you to seek some legal advice to find out which business entity is going to be best for you. But once again, for this training scenario, I want to show you how to get your employer identification number as an LLC. You're going to want to select the number of persons that are going to be on your license, and then you'll have to select Alabama from the drop-down box. On this screen, the IRS wants to know why you are requesting an employer identification number, because you are starting a new business. Now you need to enter the Social Security number of one person on the license, and there's a little box there that you'll need to check that says that you are one of the owners, because as I said earlier, there are companies that will get on this website for you and charge $500 or $600. So you'll just need to state that you are, in fact, one of the owners. Next, you're going to enter the address of your dealership and also your phone number, and then they will give you an opportunity to select a different mailing address. But if you want all of your official mail or correspondence from the IRS to be sent to your official address, just leave your official address right there. Now you're going to enter your dealership name, what you're doing business as. Sometimes that's referred to as your DBA. You're also going to enter that you are in the state of Alabama and your dealership is in the state of Alabama. So if you live in Alabama, then your dealership is also in Alabama. You select Alabama twice. However, if your dealership is in Alabama and you live in a different state, the second box, you would want to select your home state, and then you're going to select your approximate start date. And now you can either receive it via mail, or if you leave that little received online checkbox clicked, you will easily be able to print your EIN up right here. So as you see here, this is your new proof of federal employment identification number, and you're going to see your dealership address listed at the very top there, and at the top left, but at the top right, you're going to see your brand new federal employer identification number. And you'll definitely need to record this number because it's going to be made for tax purposes, and we'll show you how to file your taxes later on. But you're also going to need to enter it on your dealer license application, and also if you're registering your business with the Secretary of State, you'll need to enter it on your Secretary of State filing as well. If you have any questions about how to obtain your employer identification number, as I said earlier, you can call the IRS directly at 800-829-4933, or you can go right to their website, irs.gov. alabama.gov. Once again, this is the number that's required to show the state of Alabama that you are, in fact, going to pay taxes on your newfound income. This is not required if you're a sole proprietor. However, if you are a sole proprietor with employees, then you will need to have an employer identification number. Next, I want to show you how to easily register your business with the Secretary of State. Now, I'm sure that you're aware the Alabama Secretary of State is not only the leading election authority in the state of Alabama, but they're also the leading recorder of business entities. And most dealers are going to register with the Secretary of State. Now, once again, if you are opening a dealership as a sole proprietor, then you're not required to. But if you're using a different name, then you would need to register what we call a DBA with the state as well. This gives the Secretary of State a record of the new business that you're starting, and the Secretary of State does want a record of every business operating in the state of Alabama, including the dealership that you're getting ready to open. First, I want to give you some really good contact information. We are going to be, if you need to mail any information to the state, you can mail it to 770 Washington Avenue, Suite 580. And that's once again going to be in Montgomery, 36104. And there's some really great contact information for you. And I want you to be aware at any time you can call business services with the Alabama Secretary of State at 334-242-5324. Once again, that's 334-242-5324. Or you can send them an email at business.services@sos.alabama.gov. And you're going to talk to a professional that will guide you in the right direction, especially if you have any type of business entity questions. They're going to be a wealth of knowledge for you. And I want to make sure you do have that contact information. And I want to remind you, right there at the very top of the screen there, click on the Files link. And then you can certainly download the entire PowerPoint presentation that's going to have all these great phone numbers and email addresses for you. So when we go to the Alabama website, that's going to be sos.alabama.gov, and you're going to be able to go onto a very, very easy to use business website here. And as you can see, the first thing that we're going to need to do is go ahead and click on Business Services. We need to ensure the business name that you want to use is available and it's not being used by another dealership in the state of Alabama. So the first thing that you need to do is ensure the name that you want to use is available. So we're going to click on the Business Entity and Name Search link. Now you're going to click on the entity name because we're going to be searching by entity name, okay? So let's go ahead and do a quick search here. Let's say, for example, you want to call your new dealership ABC Motors. So we're going to type in ABC Motors into the search box there, and you're going to scroll down and click on Search. And as you can see here, there's already an ABC Motors in the state of Alabama. They're located in Mobile. And they're a domestic corporation, which means they are located home-based in the state of Alabama. And they currently exist, which means ABC Motors is already taken. So you cannot be ABC Motors. That's already taken by a registered dealership that's located in Mobile. So let's go ahead and click a new search. And for this example, let's try XYZ Motors. So type in XYZ Motors, and then you click the search button once again. And as you can see on your screen, there are no matches that have been found. So in this scenario, if there's no matches found, you can go ahead and select that dealership name. You just have to make sure that there's no other dealership in the state that's using that specific name. And as you can see here, XYZ Motors was available. So now you're going to be able to go ahead and file that business name. And you're going to want to select domestic formation. And domestic formation is if you are located in the state of Alabama. And however, if you're, say, for example, an out-of-state resident getting an Alabama dealer's license, then you would instead click the foreign registration link as you see right here. But I'm assuming that you're a domestic formation. That means you're in the state. And as you can see here, the domestic filing fee is currently $100 for the county fee and $100 for the state fee, plus a processing fee. And they're going to be around $208, but you want to go ahead and click the Continue Application link right there. Now you want to enter your contact information, and this is going to be your primary phone number, email address, and your dealership name need to be entered here as well. And then you're going to click the Continue box. You're going to enter the name that you want to use. Don't forget to put the LLC on the end of there if you are an LLC or if you're an Inc. You have to have your business entity name next to your name as well. Otherwise, it won't be reserved correctly. Once again, go ahead and type that you're a domestic location if you are a domestic business in the state of Alabama. And once again, just for this training scenario, let's say, for example, we're an LLC. So you would select that. And now, again, and by the way, this is going to take you step by step, screenshot by screenshot. So you have to enter your business name again with the LLC or the Inc. or whatever. Make sure your business entity is on the end of your name. And now you're going to go ahead and file your formation data that you see right there. And as you see to the left-hand side of the screen, there's going to be a little progress bar that shows that you have already inputted your information in the business entity box. So now you can see there at the left, we're in the requester stage. So you're going to need to put your dealership name and mailing address there. And make sure your legal name is correct. You want to verify everything. And now if you are an LLC, then you're also going to enter your county that you're an LLC in. And finally on this screen, you're going to need to enter what is known as your registered agent. If you're a resident of Alabama working as your own registered agent, that's fine. However, if you live outside the state of Alabama and you're opening an Alabama dealership, you will need to hire a state-based registered agent to act on your behalf, and that would allow you to receive legal documentation in the state. So do please keep that in mind. Once you have certified the information is correct, you will now see along the left-hand side of the screen that we're making some pretty good progress here. And at this point, you're going to need to upload some documents if possibly needed, okay? This particular page is an owner survey, so if you want to go ahead and take that survey, you can. If you prefer not to respond to those questions, then you can go down to the very bottom and click on Continue. And on this screen, you just want to verify that all of your information is correct. And then you're going to be asked for what's known as your electronic signature. So you can just type in your name there and let the state know that you are, in fact, the person that you say you are, and that you're hopefully going to be the owner or whatever title that you might have there. So you will be charged $100 for any filing process corrections. I want you to be aware of that. So you want to make sure that all this information is true and accurate. And now you're going to be taken to the state secure payment portal where you're going to be able to pay your filing fees. And as you see over there to the very top right, your name reservation was $25. Your Secretary of State county filing was $100. And your Secretary of State filing fee was $100. And then they throw in $1 to process the application. So right now, you're going to be paying with credit card or e-check. And let's say for this scenario, you just selected credit card. You're just going to enter your contact information. That's pretty self-explanatory. And then finally, you're going to enter your credit card information to pay your Secretary of State filing fees. Next, you will have a document very similar to this that's just going to pop up on your screen. This is your Secretary of State filing document, and yours is going to look very similar to this. And this is a record that you have officially filed your business name with the Secretary of State of Alabama. Now, I want to bring your attention to a number in the middle of this screen on your document, which is referred to as your Secretary of State number. You are going to need that number for future reference, so you might make a note of that number because the Secretary of State assigns a number to every single business in the state of Alabama. So this record is your Secretary of State number for future purposes, and I definitely recommend you save this number and even print this document up and hang it on your wall if you need to. If you have any questions about business entities or Secretary of State filings or general business questions, you can contact the business entities section at the Secretary of State's office. That's once again going to be 334-242-5324, or you can just drop them an email at business.services@sos.alabama.gov. The next step in this section in obtaining your Alabama dealer's license is to obtain a state sales tax number. Later on in the course, when you're selling a vehicle, I'm going to show you how to do this easily. I'm going to show you how to collect sales tax when you're selling a vehicle to a customer. In order to legally collect sales tax as a licensed Alabama motor vehicle dealer, you must have a state sales tax number. And I'm going to show you how to do that right now. And on a side note, there are companies that will charge you $400 or $500 or $600 to show you how to get your Alabama sales tax number. And I'm going to show you how to do it right on the Alabama website, which is called myalabamataxes.alabama.gov. Once again, we're going to visit myalabamataxes.alabama.gov. And you're going to see the My Alabama Taxes homepage right here. So the first thing that I'm going to recommend that you do is go ahead and create a username and password, because we are going to log back into this website later on in the course when we're doing sales tax returns. Be sure to always record your username and password for all of your websites in a secure place, because you will need to access these websites in the future when you are a licensed Alabama motor vehicle dealer. We're going to scroll down on the page and click towards the bottom under the business section that says register a business / obtain a new tax number. Then you're going to land on your account registration page, and it says there it takes about a half hour. I don't think it's going to take that long, but we're going to need to review this information. And as it says towards the bottom of the screen, after you complete this application, it does take 3 to 5 days to process your new application and actually issue your sales tax license. So I want you to be very aware of that. The first thing we're going to do is enter our business entity information. And once again, for this training scenario, I'm assuming that we're doing this as an LLC for this training scenario. You're going to need to enter your federal tax ID number as well. Now, with that being said, chronologically, you need to get your employer identification number from the IRS before you can get your Alabama sales tax number. So I want to repeat that very important information. You must have your federal employment number before you get your sales tax number from the state. So you're going to go ahead and click on the next button at the bottom right there. I want you to be very aware that you're going to need to select 2 different boxes on this screen. Okay, you're going to need to select local taxes and the sales taxes that you will be allowed to select. So make sure and select the local taxes and the sales tax box. Both of them need to be checked. Then we're going to enter the address of your dealership. Next, you'll select a corporation date. They want to know if you are in the state of Alabama or if you're from another state. And at the very top right there, you're going to need to select whether you're going to be wholesale or retail, because with a wholesale license, you can only sell directly to other licensed motor vehicle dealers or through dealer auctions. But a retail allows you to sell customers on the lot or right through dealer auctions and through dealers as well. So a retail license allows you to sell wholesale and retail. A wholesale license only allows you to sell directly to other dealers. So you need to let the state know whether you're selling beer or wine or liquor. And then you're also going to let the state know what's called your NAICS code. For licensed motor vehicle dealers, your NAICS code is 441120. If you don't remember that name, you can just click on that little link above the ICS code and select car dealers, and automatically it will input 441120 in your NAICS code, and that's required to have a dealer's license. So you can just go ahead and also click on the Secretary of State Entity ID. So remember, there's 2 things you can do this. You can go back and enter your Secretary of State number, and if you're not sure where that's at, you can go ahead and look your dealership up right there. Or remember, we just copied that number from the Secretary of State filing document that I showed you there just a few moments ago. So you want to make sure your Secretary of State ID number is on there. Double check it, triple check it, make sure all that contact information is correct. Now, you're also allowed to input a separate mailing address if that's going to be convenient for you. Or if you want all of your correspondence mailed directly to your dealership, then you can certainly do that as well. Now you want to enter when your taxes are going to be based on a calendar year. So I'm going to recommend that you select December as the end of your tax year, unless your accountant gives you a different recommendation. But most dealers' tax year will end in the month of December. Now you're going to go ahead and enter your commencement date. You might as well go ahead and enter the date that you're applying and select Alabama as your state, and then the county that your dealership's located in. So you want to double check and make sure that all that information is correct. And once again, they're going to ask you this question again. Are you selling beer or wine or tobacco at your dealership? There are a handful of dealerships in the state of Alabama that sell beer and wine, which I find very interesting. I wouldn't want to be around those dealerships during test drives, you know what I mean? But check whether or not you're selling beer, wine, or tobacco at your dealership. And now you're going to have an overview of your sales tax application. So you're just going to double check and triple check absolutely everything there. And I want you to be aware, as it says right there, they will charge you $100 if they have to correct any of your mistakes. At that time, you're going to enter your email address, and then you're going to get a confirmation that says you have officially applied for your sales tax number. And I'm going to recommend that you go ahead and print your confirmation, but I want to bring that to your attention once again at the very top of the screen. As it says right there, it's going to take you 3 to 5 days for your license to be approved. And then you're going to be notified via email when your sales tax license is actually approved by the state's Department of Revenue. So go ahead and print your confirmation up there and print your confirmation code as well. So then in a couple of days, you're going to get a further confirmation that says you have hopefully been granted your sales tax license. And then you'll have an email where you can easily print up your sales tax license, which is going to look nearly identical to this document that you see right here. And it's going to have your dealership name on it with your address at the top there. And you're also going to have your account type and what is called your effective date. And make sure and log your account number. That's your official sales tax number. And that's going to legally allow you to collect sales tax when we're selling motor vehicles. And I'm going to show you how to do that exactly later on in the dealer training course. If you have no idea on how to collect sales tax, I'll show you that here in just a little while. So by having a sales tax license, that will allow you to legally charge sales tax when you're selling a motor vehicle. Let's go ahead and move on to the next training unit.